Washington Journal continues.
For a conversation on prescription drug prices, we're joined now by former Congressman James Greenwood, currently serves as president and CEO of the Biotechnology Innovation Organization. First, on that organization, what is BIO's mission? Who do you represent?
So we represent about 1,000 biotechnology companies. Most of them are the small ones. These are the startup companies that are kind of on the cutting edge of the science. And what we do for them is two things. One, we hold meetings and conferences all over the world where we bring these investors, our investors, together with the small companies, sometimes the large companies, and they make deals and decide whether to invest in these companies or not. And the second thing is we do public policy advocacy. So at the state level, federal level, both before Congress and the regulatory agencies.
How much time do you spend on Capitol Hill, and how's your organization funded?
Well, funded by dues from our members, about 1,000 of them. And I spend maybe 10% of my time. One of the things I try to do is meet all of the freshman members of Congress. There are 100 of them in this Congress, and begin to introduce them to what is biotechnology, what are we trying to accomplish, and what are the policy issues that are conducive to the success of innovation.
How many of those conversations, as you've met those freshmen who've come in this Congress, are focused on the cost of prescription drugs?
Most of them, if not all of them. It's a serious concern.
Do you think prescription drugs cost too much?
So let me start out, if I could. I want to set forth two what I call moral imperatives, okay? The first is there is a group of patients who have diseases for which we've already developed treatments and cures. And the moral imperative there is that not one of them should ever be without the medicine they need because they cannot afford what's required to come out of their pocket. We believe in that moral imperative, and we're committed to make sure that that doesn't happen. The second group of patients is actually a larger group, and that's the patients for which we have not yet developed treatments and cures. And the moral imperative there is that for those patients and their loved ones to have hope, we have to make sure that the scientists who are working day and night around the country and around the world have the resources necessary to develop those treatments and cures. So I start there. Now, to answer your question, do I think drugs are too expensive? On the main, no. But let's talk about why they are expensive. Some of them are expensive. And of course, they're only expensive until they become generic. And that's the way our system works. 90% of drugs are generic. 90% of prescriptions are generic. So a drug might start out up here, and then its patent expires, and price goes like that. And society owns that at a cheap cost forever. What drives the price is basic economics. 90% of everything we do, of all of the clinical trials that we get involved in, fail. Most companies fail. And so the basic economics are high risk, high reward. So I mentioned earlier that we put meetings together where we have investors and our companies. And those venture capitalists look at those companies and they listen to the data that the companies are presenting about how successful they might be in treating this disease or another. And the venture capitalist says, I'm going to lose my shirt 9 times out of 10. But if I can make my money back on the 10th one, then this system works. I'll continue to invest. And so basically, high risk, high reward, that's the main driver of prices.
Why do we see that drugs that Americans buy cost anywhere from 2 to 6 times as